In today's video, I am going to be reviewing 3 affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. One of these is the newest release, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are joining. Thank you so much for visiting today. My name is Hayley and I review fragrances. So as I already mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be all about 3 different Lattafa fragrances. And Lattafa is a brand that I really love. They have the most incredible, affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. And one of the fragrances that I'm going to be talking about today was a love at first sniff. And I'm going to highly recommend it to those of you that like a certain type of scent profile. But I'm not going to spoil it right now. You'll have to wait and see which one that is. So without further ado, let's jump into the content. So I received a parcel from Lattafa. It is my first ever PR package from Lattafa. I do speak about the brand quite a lot on my Instagram. I will forever purchase their fragrances because I truly feel like they are great value for the price point. This video is not sponsored. I just really love Lattafa. So I thought I would share these 3 fragrances with you today because one of them is new. It is the newest release by the perfumer Quentin Biche, who is responsible for some of our favorite fragrances, including Delina, including Hibiscus Mahajad, and I know there's been a lot of buzz around this particular fragrance, so I thought I would give you my opinions on it. And then there were 2 other fragrances within the parcel, and oh, do I want to spoil it right now? Maybe I do. One of them was a true love at first sniff, and no, it is not the newest release, so stay tuned for my review. So I guess let's just jump straight into the review, and we should probably start with the newest release. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name because I do butcher names quite often. I don't mean to. My pronunciations are not great, so I will always put the name on the screen. But this is the newest release, which was created by the perfumer Quentin Biche, as I've already mentioned. And I have seen quite a lot of reviews on this one thus far. Some positive, some not so much. So I thought I would share my opinions on this one. I think the packaging is really beautiful. It's heavyweight, and I truly feel like Lattafa is great value for the price point. Most of the fragrances that I own from the brand have great longevity too. So this has some really interesting notes such as caramel, pink pepper, bitter almond, apricot. I think it has rhubarb, some white flowers, some leather. So I really wasn't sure what to expect from this. I was going in with an open mind. What I will say is there are a lot of comparisons to Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle. I've seen that in reviews, and I've also seen that on Fragrantica. And I do see where people are going with that comparison, but it is short-lived in my personal opinion. I get that reference in the opening and the opening only, and then it changes for me. So what I get in the opening is a very similar experience to La Belle. Like other people are saying, it's very sweet, it's very caramelized, almost like that sweet, sticky caramel, honey, vanilla type of scent profile. But that only sticks around for maybe like 20 minutes for me, and then it really does change into something else. And I had seen a couple of people say this on Fragrantica. I get this almost celery note on my skin. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but you know that kind of sour bitterness that you can get from celery sometimes. I do pick that up when it's on my skin. I don't on the paper, but I definitely do on my skin. And I think it could be a combination of the bitter almond and the rhubarb, because rhubarb can pull very green sometimes. And I find it really interesting because you might be thinking, Hayley, celery doesn't sound that nice, but I do love the green touch that this adds to my skin. I also pick out a lot of leather on my skin too. That sweet honeyed vibe kind of dissipates after 20 minutes, and this develops into something a lot more complex than I thought it would have. Now I know this is going to vary on each of our individual skin chemistries, but for me, this is not a straight up La Belle dupe. I know some of you are getting that, but I'm just saying I am not getting that. We will all experience fragrances differently. I might have actually preferred this one if it did pull a little bit more like La Belle, to be honest. But I do feel like this has a complexity to it that needs to be explored, and I need to wear this a few more times before I can gather my thoughts. This also might need to macerate a little bit because it is a new release, but it is in essence a very sweet honeyed caramel fragrance with some light florals. It's vanillic. I get the jamminess from the apricot too. I get the osmanthus, but I do get a green herbal touch to it, which is super interesting. And like I said, I do also get a little bit of that leather. So I will come back to this fragrance in future videos to see if my thoughts will have changed. Now, this wasn't a love at first sniff for me, but it is a fragrance that I find intriguing, and I am going to play around with it a little bit longer to see if this will develop into a love. But I think this is a great new release from Lattafa. As always, great longevity, great projection. They really truly know how to make strong perfumes. So that was my first initial take on this new release. If you have tried it, please do let me know what you think about it. I would love to hear your opinions. But yeah, this was, I'm not even gonna say the name, the newest release from Lattafa. Are you ready for the love at first sniff? Because I am ready to share it with you. Again, I do not know how to pronounce this. I'm not even going to try because I know some of you get frustrated when I pronounce things incorrectly, but the name is on the screen. Now, I hadn't personally heard about this fragrance before it was sent to me. I haven't seen a review on it, and I had no idea of the notes. I kind of just sprayed it on the paper, and instantly my eyes were rolling to the back of my head. This is exactly the type of scent profile that I adore, and for the price point, you really can't go wrong with it. So, in essence, this is a creamy mango scent. Yes, creamy mango. And it is strong, it is powerful, and it projects beautifully. It does have oud in here. There's some osmanthus too. And I was so intrigued, I went on to Fragrantica to look this one up. And a lot of people were referencing Stefan Humbert Lucas Mango Kiss as a fragrance that is similar to this. And in this case, I totally get it. This does bear a lot of similarities to Mango Kiss. So I believe this is about £30. Big difference in price point, right? So this is why I would highly recommend you go out and sample this one, especially if you are in the market for a new mango fragrance, because this is so creamy and delicious. The oud is present, it's smooth, it's not too overwhelming. Now, Mango Kiss has quite a prominent chamomile note, which I don't really pick out in this composition, but I still pick out the osmanthus, and I definitely still pick out the oud. It is so creamy. I think this will smell amazing on anyone. It has a slight green touch to it as well, totally unisex. For the price point, the strength of this is absolutely insane. I've worn this a couple of times already, and it has quickly shot up to one of my favorite Middle Eastern fragrances ever. So I'm definitely going to review this one in more detail in a video to come. But this one is definitely approved by me. I think this is a little bit of a fail-safe fragrance for the price point, but you do need to love mango. You do need to love a creamy kind of lactonic fragrance, and you also do need to like a woody base, specifically oud. But even if oud is sometimes challenging for you, I'd still recommend trying this one because it just has the most smooth, kind of sensual woody base. So yeah, I would highly recommend this fragrance. And last but not least, we have Velvet Rose, and I can pronounce this one, so we are safe here. And this is for those of you that like a rose and patchouli scent. This one out of the three fragrances, I would say is the most mass appealing and almost the most boring scent profile. And I say that with love because rose and patchouli is a very common scent profile. There are a lot of different fragrances on the market that smell similar to this. A lot of favorites on the market that smell similar to this, such as Portrait of a Lady by Frederic Malle. That type of rose and patchouli scent profile. This is more of a dark, mysterious, and sensual rose. It's bold, it's powerful, it will definitely turn heads. Now, I do like these types of fragrances, but I don't reach for them that much. I will say this has more sweetness than something like Portrait of a Lady, but the dry down is very similar. You have rose, patchouli, and musk. It's a very traditional type of rose scent profile, but for the price point, I do feel like this is fantastic. albeit a little bit boring. It's nothing new, but it's a really good fragrance. So out of the three, I would say this is my least favorite, not because it's not a nice fragrance, just because it didn't wow me in any way. I prefer my fragrances to have a little bit of pizzazz to them. Now, I do feel like there is a time and a place for a classic scent profile, signature scent worthy type of scent profiles. But in this particular video, I think the other two fragrances just stood out for me a little bit more. But this is a fail-safe if you do like rose, patchouli, and musk. It reminds me a little bit of Elixir 11 by Kayali as well. This would make a great date night scent. And if you are a rose lover, this one would be one to sample for sure. And like I said, Lattafa are great for the price point. Most of their fragrances have really good longevity too. A lot of their fragrances are dupes, not all of them. So yeah, this is kind of I like it, but I don't love it fragrance. So that was Velvet Rose by Lattafa. So those were all of the fragrances that I wanted to showcase in today's video. Please do let me know if any of them stood out to you, if you have sampled any of them, and if so, what are your thoughts? But I would love to know if you have tried any Lattafa fragrances, what are your favorites from the brand? Please do drop them in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much and goodbye.